Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, headline: U.S. payrolls marked down by most since 2009 in preliminary data. And basically, the sum it up is that they give you a bunch of job data before. I think it was like 2.9 million jobs created the last 12 months. Then they go ahead and revise it. and this time the revisions were off. They were off by the most since 2009. This is a chart here, guys. It says revisions suggest more moderate U.S. payroll growth, you think? But basically, this is how far we're off. I think we're off by like 880,000 jobs. And again, we were off by the most since 2009 right here. U.S. Job gains have been likely exaggerated. Now we'll find out by how much. And this was coming out yesterday. So before, the sort of rumors were that the jobs gains numbers were going to be off by as much as 600,000. Or a record number being off by 1 million. We didn't quite hit the record of being off. It's not really a record you want to be sort of breaking, but we're off by 818,000 jobs. Now, when you're talking about, hey, we're gaining 2.9 million, then suddenly you're off by like 818,000. It's pretty significant, right? You're off by nearly a third. This is the thing that I try to talk with you guys, so much about this stuff, is regardless of what these numbers say, right? Because, before when I was saying, hey, maybe jobs aren't necessarily as good as what the numbers are saying, because in your neck of the woods, if you're, say, Cisco, for example, and they're just laying off 7% of their employees, or if you're a Paramount, and I think they laid off like 15% of their employees, or they're just, announced recently GM's laying off. Or I can show you another headline today I have right here, Sephora. This is in China. They're laying off 10%. Like, I see the stuff and I see the news, and it didn't really quite, match up necessarily with what the sort of, I guess you could say, federal numbers or Bureau of Labor Statistic numbers, however you want to say it, what they were giving us. But it's like, I can see what's happening on the ground, and that's sort of like whatever, official numbers come out, in your neck of the woods, in the city that you live in, the company that you work for, or the company that you own. You'll know exactly what's going on with the economy, and sort of what I try to do on this channel is give you an overall picture. Also, too, I share my personal opinion, and I want to hear from you in the community, and that's sort of how we bring things together. Because frankly, in this world, there's just a lot of crazy stuff out there, right? And it's hard to know what's real anymore. And I'm just perfectly frank, it's hard to know, because now we have to deal with AI articles and people spreading nonsense on social media, which I'll talk about in a moment here. I got a lot to say about that stuff. But the thing I just want to share right now is the numbers that we got before were off, and they're off by a large margin again since 2009, kind of off. How is the market going to react to this? These are headlines here. Job markets was weaker than previous reported data show. Or you have this kind of headline: I couldn't get hired for a year. It changed my attitude toward work. Perspective comes at an extremely high cost. And this is just coming out today. Like you kind of get a sense by just talking to people on the ground. So I'm not shocked that the market acts like it's all surprise and stuff like that, but it is what it is. That when the first report came out that the numbers were off, I saw the market take a dive. Whether or not it recovers, who knows? There's a couple different ways you can look at this. So one, you could say, okay, job numbers came in, worse than expected, or worse than originally reported. So then that means the Fed's going to have to cut 50 basis points, because we got to, get this market going again. The opposite view would be, oh my God, jobs are terrible. That means the economy is awful. That means, companies aren't hiring. In fact, they're doing the opposite. And moreover, that means, people aren't going to have the money to pay their bills. So we might see more delinquencies, which we've talked about before on the channel, be it your auto loan, your home loans, etc. Or people aren't just not going to have the money to buy your Apples or your Teslas and these kind of things. And you'll see it in company data. So this is kind of all the stuff that we look at and we put it together. Now, what's interesting, though, is that there was a couple earnings reports that came out recently. Macy's reported in. Their stock took a dive because they're saying, hey, things aren't looking so great. Target beat their estimates. Their stock went up, but in order to do said thing, they actually had to slash prices on many products. I think it was like 5,000 products or something crazy like that. So it depends who you ask. Everything depends who you ask. But I'll say this, I've lived through this stuff before. I write about this stuff in my book, and I mention my book all the time, guys, because it's about positivity, actually. And sometimes people think like I'm a negative person. It's actually not the case. I'm actually quite positive. I just live in reality. And sometimes, there's bad things you have to deal with in your life, right? But I'd rather know the truth, right? I'd rather know what's really facing us or facing me or facing you. I just rather talk about reality and learn how to get around obstacles in life. And that's sort of what this book's about. It's called Positive Angle, and it's on Amazon. So I mentioned that stuff because, guys, there's a lot to talk about. It's a complicated topic. I'll just say this. Depending on who you watch on social media, and there's a lot of people here that we'll just say in the world, in the Twitterverse, or in the Xverse, or the YouTubeverse, that adore Mr. Elon Musk. And I'm bringing the Elon Musk stuff because this was something that I just made a video on yesterday, and this was the headline: Elon Musk's Twitter takeover is now the worst buyout for banks since the financial crisis. So again, we're talking about like 2008, 2009 kind of stuff, the same way that our numbers of jobs that reported by the BLS were off by the most since 2009. It's like I've lived through this stuff before, so I kind of have an idea of what to expect. And also too, I'm still here. I'm alive and I'm smiling. And no matter what you face in your life, if you have a good attitude about sort of how to tackle the challenge in front of you, you're going to do great. However, if you worship people, and I'm using Musk as an example, if you worship people who in my opinion, have a wrong perspective on life, are out to cheat you all the time, their world is all about money all day, every day, and they sort of drag people into that world. And for someone like Mr. Musk, who, when's the music going to stop playing? It feels like it's now. That's what it really feels like, because basically the banks that lent him a bunch of money, it was like $13 billion, like really a lot of money, to go and buy Twitter. All those people are out of their compensation. They had to make less deals. They basically got screwed by Mr. Musk, but they did it to themselves. And I've seen this game before, guys. Essentially what it is people get really, really greedy. That's one way to put it. The other issue as well, which is kind of nuts, regarding the whole people and the whole verse, if you want to call it, or whatever to say, world bubble. Bubble's a good word. A bubble that followed Mr. Musk. They're all down and sad and negative all the time. I've noticed all the Tesla stock pumpers, they don't even talk about Tesla anymore. They just talk about politics every day. It's like, what's wrong with these people? And I'm laughing because I don't report necessarily every single thing that I see on there, but I'll just say they've been freaking out, and it's been amusing. I'll say this though, guys. I've been watching the DNC, and actually I was going to make a video about this yesterday, but I'll just address it today. Michelle and Barack Obama spoke. If you watch the DNC, you probably watch it. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll just give you a shortened version of it. For me, it was really inspiring. It's a very different message than the Trump camp. In the Trump camp, basically what they have to tell you is that everything's awful, right? The people south of the border, the brown people, are all going to come take your jobs, and they're all going to hurt you, and everything is storm clouds, and it's raining all the time, and all of the campaign commercials, that's what they're going to show you, right? That everything's sad, and homeless people everywhere, and etc. All the negative things possible, which I understand that perspective. I completely understand. It was refreshing for me to see Kamala's campaign, and she recently picked Tim Walz, which I think was really the ideal pick. And if you know anything about Tim Walz, you've been watching him at all, he's just a regular dude. Like, there's a headline yesterday in the CNBC is like, he owns no stocks, and I don't even think he owns real estate, and just regular person, middle class person, and he understands regular people's perspective. And I'm bringing up the Obamas because and Barack's speech was particularly good. There's just a couple things that I thought were really well done, and if you want to watch it, I encourage you, right? And if you don't want to watch it, you already don't care what I say anyway. But I'm still going to tell you. Basically, the one thing that really stuck out with me with Barack, he was saying, you may have a crazy uncle or a crazy aunt or whatever. I think that's how we refer to it. Is that is spreading fake news or saying bad things about another group of people, and this is like your family member, and you have to think like, okay, is my family member inherently a bad person for thinking these things? And the way he described it was like, well, maybe they just have misinformation, or maybe they're just ignorant in a way that they just don't know, right? And Obama's just like, hey, regardless of what happens in the world, we're still going to go to baseball games, we're still going to go to school, we're still going to go to work, and really encourage you to talk to your neighbor. And that's if you guys follow my channel, that's actually a message that I preach all the time. It's something that and I'm going to mention my book again, called Positive Angle. It's something that I lived through in my life, guys. If you don't know, I was a professor for about 10 years, and I would have students every day come into the classroom, and I did also not have interactions with my students, and this is like, I mean, there's thousands of students. Because if you teach long enough and you have different classes, like it's literally every semester a new group of people and from all around the world, and you, how can I say, you have so many interactions with different types of people, and you get used to it, and not everyone agrees with you on everything, and that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly human. But one of the things that I always encourage is to have discussions about the world, right? And honest discussions, and not that many people do, and you'll find that the other side isn't so bad if someone disagrees. And in fact, I really miss my time when I went to graduate school, because I would have classmates in, say, a political science class or in a law class, these kind of things, that would disagree with me, but like it wasn't like we hate each other. Just disagree. Like someone said, I think we should have like really strong social security, and we should have it at this level, and then, or someone else like, no, we should have less social security, and you should have more money in your pocketbook, or whatever. I'm just giving examples of social security, or what the minimum wage. We talk about what it should be, but I didn't think the other person was like immoral or like that. You just have a different view on these things, and that's fine. And that's something that it's a different message, and from the Obamas, where, hey, let's learn to get along together. Let's accept that people may have different religions, right? I mean, literally they'll mention like a mosque, a synagogue, or a church. Whereas if you look at the other part, they say, hey, we're all Christian, and we all should be Christian, and we only go to one type of religion. and you guys can believe whatever you like, but in the world that I live in, I do believe that there are various types of people in the world, and it's a good thing if we can get along. So that's just my opinion on this stuff. I mentioned the stuff in this way because everything depends on like how you respond to life. If you've been following my channel, and this was just 2 weeks ago, we did a video about there's crazy market crashes, etc. What did my wife do on that day? If you remember, this was back when the Japan market crashed. Actually, we went out to lunch. We made a video about it, and yeah, sure, it happened. Like my in the video, you can watch it, but my wife looked at her portfolio. I think we were down like 12% or whatever, and the joke was just don't look. And it happens. It happens, right? But we weren't to the extent that we're overexposed in the market to where like we're leveraged to the hilt. And if something goes down and our calculations are off, that suddenly like, we're bankrupt. Like we don't put ourselves in that kind of position. And that's sort of the stuff that I talk with you quite a bit on this channel, is to be realistic about expectations of the market. Also, to don't necessarily expect the market to be your end all be all. I understand though, there's a lot of people out there that got in rough positions and way over leveraged, et cetera. But that's sort of why we have these conversations. It's all about how well you prepare for the storms ahead, and also to how you sort of take the storms as they come in. I give you an example. This is sort of why I'm showing you guys this stuff. We're going to go to a baseball game next week. I just bought tickets right here. And I'm looking forward to it. I the only thing that could be sink our parade, but it's okay. There's 3 games next week, and this is in Busan. Is rain. It could possibly rain, but it's okay. There's 3 games next week. We'll just buy tickets to the other game. We're going to try to go on a Tuesday. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I finger crossed, because literally we have a possible storm coming, or they've been talking like tsunami, that kind of stuff. And even today, and I'll mention in a next video, but in fact, we have a drill. If you guys are curious, the drill is what if North Korea attacks? It's a real thing. So once a year, they ring the sirens, and we have to practice going to bomb shelters and that kind of stuff. People don't actually take it that seriously. That's a whole other topic, but I'm just saying, like, just be prepared for this kind of stuff, right? I know I do the news all the time, and we talk about the markets, etc. But I do have another channel, and I just mentioned it, where we show our lives, and just show other things. Like, for example, just last week we went to go see the Alien movie, and it was fun, right? Is it as good as Alien or Aliens? No, it's the 3rd best Alien movie out there, which actually isn't bad though, right? We both had fun watching the movie. We just went to the beach, just also last week. And actually, we're gonna go to the beach tomorrow if it doesn't rain. that's what we're talking about. And it's like, how can I say? If you live in the world of Mr. Musk and you get caught up in, oh yes, we're I have a right to spread AI falsehoods, and I have a right to promise people for products that are never going to come, and then all those things kind of don't work out for you. Yeah, sure, you're going to be depressed all the time. But if you surround yourself, I'll just say this, if you surround yourself with positive people, and if you're part of a positive community, which I think we have in this community, because it's fun. We talk about stuff all the time, and we have laughs about things, right? Because I can shake my fist and get angry all that I want. But you know what I think is better is smile and take the hits as they come and say, you know what, I'm gonna find a way around it. And guys, I see it more than you know, because I track this stuff. I see the doom and gloomers on social media, etc., and I see the Musk fan cult. They're all sad, and I understand those people lost half their money. I get it, but I don't surround myself with those kind of people, nor do I want to. And that's there's that. So anyway, I hope you guys understand the purpose of this. I encourage you to watch Barack's speech when you get a chance to kind of see what I'm talking about. If you've already saw it, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you thought. I'll just say it was nice seeing him again, and I was looking forward to it, and it cheered me up because I do get down when I see the Trump side, and I'm like, oh my God, do we have to deal with that again? And also, to be perfectly frank, guys, I want to be perfectly frank. I said it before, and I've been saying it the whole time. When it was Biden against Trump, I said both parties need to replace their candidates and get someone else in, right? The Democrats did it. The Republicans, it's probably too late for them. It is what it is. But 4 years later, try again, right? And bring up a good candidate, and we'll have to talk about it and be positive about that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tough for the Trump side, but that's just my opinion. So anyway, I know people already get upset when you mention this stuff, but watch the Brock speech for yourself and see what you think. And for me, regardless if your side team wins or loses, go to a baseball game. It is baseball season, and just forget about the markets, that kind of stuff, and go do something fun. That's what we're doing. Going next week. Anyway, just wanted to share these thoughts with you, and I'll catch you on the next video.